Let's talk about a framework of project management, and I'm going to introduce the framework that comes from the Project Management Institute. They call that framework, well, it's a written document called A Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge. People will ask me, well, what is this project management body of knowledge, or what is this PMBOK? Well, really, the body of knowledge is what you see on the slide alongside me, the large blue circle. And it is everything that's out there that people use or sometimes use or could use at managing their projects. When we talk about the Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, it is a book that has evolved over a number of years since 1987 by teams of volunteers through Project Management Institute. And this Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, or PMBOK guide, is the framework that I'm referring to of project management. Nobody's claiming that it's a piece of perfection, but it is, I find, a very useful framework. And when I encounter organizations who are looking to improve their project management, to mature their project management, they'll virtually always use the PMBOK guide as a major benchmark document to help them do that. And we will talk in a few minutes about how that framework or how that guide is broken down into knowledge. But if I'm going to be managing a project, yes, I should be familiar with, competent in the processes and tools that are in the PMBOK guide. But hugely important are going to be human and communication skills or interpersonal skills. Also, any general management knowledge and skills that I may have from previous work experience, of course, I can bring it to bear on a project, because a project is simply, it's like operational work, except that it has a beginning and an end and is doing something unique. It's rather important that I understand the project environment. How do we do, within my organization, how do we do business? How do we do projects? How do we deal with our internal or external stakeholders? How do we deal with our internal or external clients, who are a subset of stakeholders? How do we deal with our suppliers in the marketplace? I've also got to be familiar with what's called on the slide alongside me application area knowledge, standards, and regulations. Things that are specific to the nature of my projects. For example, if I'm managing a construction project, construction safety is hugely important, and it's in the bubble on the slide that's called application area, knowledge, etc. It's not in the PMBOK guide. A Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge doesn't mention construction safety because it's not relevant on software projects and many other kinds of projects. Now, there's another elongated bubble at the bottom of the slide alongside me, which is product-oriented processes. When we're talking about project management, the project management framework, it's stuff that's relevant to every project, whether your project is an entertainment event, it's developing a piece of consumer electronics hardware, whether it's a construction project, information technology project. It's common to all those projects. And of course, I have to be good at that. But I also have to be good at how do people actually design software and program software. I got to be familiar with how do people design a building, go to the marketplace, find contractors, and then get that building built. Those are all the product-oriented processes. Now, that smaller bubble called PMBOK guide in the previous slide, how is it broken down? Well, it's broken down into, at the date of this video clip, 47 processes. 47 processes of project management, and those are divided among 5 process groups and also several knowledge areas. Now, this is just an arbitrary framework. There's nothing important about the framework itself, but frameworks are useful because if I'm going to learn project management and I'm going to learn tools of project management, maybe it makes sense if they are organized in a structure. Maybe it's easier for me to go through and learn that stuff. If I'm going to teach project management, it makes sense for me to have a framework that I can pull from and that I can refer back to. So the framework is there, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Of those 47 processes, let's look at them on the next slide. Each of these cells is a process. For example, one of them is create WBS. That means create work breakdown structure. Now, that process is part of the column which is headed planning. In fact, in the planning column, there are quite a few processes because project management has a huge emphasis on planning the project. Create work breakdown structure is also part of scope management. That's the knowledge area scope management. In fact, look at the far left-hand column and you'll see all of the knowledge areas. There's integration management, that means pulling it together. Then there is scope, time, and cost management, and those mean that when we're planning the project, we plan what we're going to deliver and what work has to be carried out. And we plan what's the schedule that would apply to that work and what would be the cost of that work, and then we manage to that scope, cost, and time until the project is finished. Also in the left column, there's quality management. Quality management is everything that I do or everything that we do to make sure that we really do deliver the project and it satisfies the requirements for which we're carrying it out. Further down that left-hand column is human resource management, dealing with people and teams. Communications management, planning our communications and then communicating. Human resource management, communication management, these are huge in the competencies of the project manager. Further down in the left-hand column is risk management, procurement management, and one that's relatively new in the PMBOK guide, project stakeholder management. So every one of these 47 processes belongs to one of the knowledge areas and belongs to one of the process groups. Again, I say this is just an arbitrary framework, but I find in teaching and learning project management, or in if you're part of an improvement team in your organization to bring in good project management, having it organized in a framework like this is probably a good idea. Now, back to the process groups. The very, very first management course that I took said that, hey, it's simplistic, but you could think of management as a continuous loop of planning, executing, controlling, planning, executing, controlling, planning, executing, controlling. And hey, this is just saying that a project differs from regular management of operations in that there is a beginning, there are some things we do to initiate the project, and there are some things we do to close the project. So this is our brief video clip discussion of a framework of project management, specifically the one from Project Management Institute.